Okay, welcome to the lesson, everybody. I think that's okay with the lights. Maybe I'll lean that one a little bit that way. Without it falling over. Yeah, these two are still a little bit. Turn that one around that way. Okay, that's a little bit better. So we're looking at Line of Duty today, which is an English TV show. It's got great vocabulary, it's got a lot of phrasal verbs, as you can see from the board. I think a lot of students try to ignore phrasal verbs. Not sure why, because actually we use them all the time, which is why you see them in TV shows, and why perhaps that's the best way to take them from. There aren't a lot of very good books on phrasal verbs, being honest. There are very few comprehensive collections of phrasal verbs. The best one is probably Advanced Phrasal Verbs by McCarthy and Odell, but there are a couple of other good ones around. And of course, there are all these TV shows, and if you go to my website, you can buy these TV shows with exercises on these phrasal verbs. So there are resources around. You just got to go to the website and click on buy. So go after somebody was the first one that came up in this episode. It was the first one that cropped up. There's another good phrasal verb in this episode. And it's the same as came up. So go after someone simply means chase someone. If somebody comes after you, they are chasing you. And if you go after someone, you are chasing them. So that's a very easy one to explain. If you wind down a business or wind it down, it means you close the business in some kind of way. You start to reduce all activities of the business until finally it's finished and you've closed it. But if you wind anything down, it means gradually decrease the activity of something until it stops. Okay, and if a party winds down, then it gradually stops. The noise gets quieter, the noise peters out. There are a lot of good phrasal verbs for gradually decrease or disappear, peter out, trail off. But why, yeah, the party can wind down and you can wind something down. I believe they were winding down a business in this episode, and that simply means close the business slowly over time. Now, if somebody says back off, they mean stay away. That's what back off means. It means stay away, and it's very often used as an imperative, as an order. Now, this one has been in every single episode. It's also on loads of other TV shows in every single episode. So if you don't know it, you might want to learn this one. It means to be doing something suspicious, or just to be doing something. And I often start my classes by asking my students, what have you been up to? And I don't mean what naughty things have you been doing, although it can mean that if you say the kids are up to something. And in this TV show, it's about crime. So very often they're talking about criminals who are up to something. So you really need to learn this one. We use it all the time, and we also use it just for doing. What have you been doing? What have you been up to? It's the same thing. And it has got a second meaning, and we've already seen it in this TV show with its second meaning when one of the policemen said, I thought we were up to the task. And he meant, I thought we were capable of doing the task, just the two of us. We didn't need any backup, any support. So that has at least two meanings, and you ought to learn both of them because we use them well, maybe three meanings really. Do something suspicious, and to be capable of. So a lot of meanings for that one. Make sure you know it. We use it very often. Okay, to chase someone up. This is a great one, and I can't remember seeing it in any of the phrasal verbs books before. I'm probably mistaken. It's probably cropped up, and I've just forgotten. It's slipped my mind. So if you chase someone up, you get in touch with them to get the information or the or something which they've promised you. You call them to get that because they've already promised something to you. They promised to do a job for you maybe, or they promised to send you some information, or they promised to do something for you, and you're chasing them up. You're getting in touch with them so that they can, to remind them about their promise, and so that they can fulfill their promise, hopefully to force them, to make them carry out their promise and do whatever they promised to do. So that's chase someone up. So as a teacher, you can chase up your students. If they promised to send you an essay, you might chase them up because they haven't given it to you yet. And so you go and speak to them and chase them up and try and get the material sent to you. They also had to flush out. Now remember, flush is on the toilet. And when you flush someone out, it really means to get someone out of their hiding place, or to get someone out of a location which they have barricaded themselves into. Yeah, if they've barricaded themselves in, you might want to flush them out. So I can't remember how it was used in this TV show, but it must be to get rid of something from a hidden location. And it has a very similar meaning to root out. Now remember, you can root out the spies. Maybe there are some spies in your army and you need to root them out. You need to flush them out. You could use either of those there, meaning you need to get rid of them from their secret place. Yeah, they're hiding there, they're undercover, and so you need to root out the spies, root out the enemy, flush out the enemy. Okay, the next one is a mild swear word. It's not something which I say very often. But if you're a little bit angry, this one's quite good. I wouldn't use it with children, certainly not. But it is a mild swear word, so do be aware of that. But people use it very often if they are a little bit annoyed, a little bit irritated, a little bit wound up. Wound up can mean irritated as well. Now, if you cut someone in a deal, that means you include them in the deal. If you cut someone out of the deal, that means you exclude them. So include and exclude for those two. Now, I've been snowed under this summer with a lot of classes. I'm sure all of you guys have also been snowed under. I know what work's like. It just builds up, it piles up, and it overwhelms you. So the words for this are, I am snowed under. I really need to knuckle down, to buckle down. You remember those phrasal verbs which mean to get into the work and get it done. Now, we use could do with for fancy or want. If you say I could do with a coffee, it means I want a coffee. If you say I could do with lunch, it means I want lunch. Very common, that one. So again, if you don't know it, it's a bit strange because people use it all the time and you won't understand what they're saying. So make sure you know could do with, meaning want, I would like, I want, I could do with whatever it is, a cheeseburger, could be anything. To keep tabs on someone means to keep an eye on someone. It means maybe not just your eye, but it means to make sure you know somebody's movements constantly. So as a parent, you might keep tabs on your teenage kids or something like that, just to make sure they're not getting up to something naughty, yeah? Just to make sure they're not doing something suspicious or clandestine. So you keep tabs on them. Okay, if someone opens up to you, they pour their heart out to you. They suddenly tell you their innermost secrets. They open up to you. And so anytime somebody tells you all about their secrets, their feelings, their true feelings, they are opening up to you. Now, if somebody leaves you in the lurch, it means they leave you in a predicament. They leave you in a very difficult situation, and they leave you right at the moment when you need them to stay. So they leave you in the lurch. So perhaps you have some kind of plan, perhaps you're a boss and you've got some kind of plan to complete a project, and then one of your workers leaves you in the lurch. He leaves the company right at the moment when you wanted to get that plan done. That would be, they leave you in the lurch. Go off means explode, so you can say a bomb went off, a device went off, an explosive went off. All of those are very common. If you sue someone for something, it means you take them to court because they have, in your opinion, they owe you some money. They ought to give you some kind of compensation because they have let you down or broken a contract or something like that. And then you can take them to court and sue them for all sorts of things. You could sue them for negligence. You could sue them for, there were some other crimes as well, but nothing comes to mind. So to go by means to be called. You can go by several names throughout your life, and that just means you are called those names. So I don't usually go by anything other than Dave, but I suppose online I go by the name Mr. Skype Lessons. A breakdown. Now, if you talk about a man or a woman who has a breakdown, that means they have a nervous breakdown. It's often called nervous breakdown. And it means when somebody's feelings overwhelm them and they're not able to function as a normal human being. So a midlife crisis would be a nervous breakdown, something like that, when somebody suddenly has some kind of crisis and they're not able to function normally. And it's a psychological crisis, certainly, this one, very often. So you might say he had a breakdown. Well, I mean, even a marriage can break down, meaning that you split up, unfortunately. But you might have a breakdown after a divorce or something like that, because it's a very emotional time. Okay, if you stick by someone, you stay with them, you support them through thick and thin. We often say it's a nice idiom, stick by someone through thick and thin. And it means through the good times and the bad times. Not just the good times, yeah, but they stick by you. So your friends should stick by you through thick and thin. They should stick by you through the good times and the bad times. Now, if you say cut it out, like leave it out, it means stop doing that. I don't like it. I know that cut someone out can mean exclude, but it can also mean like leave off, leave out, cut it out. All of those mean leave me alone. Or stop doing what you're doing. That's perhaps closer. Stop doing what you're doing. Cut it out. Stop fighting, you might say to the kids. Cut it out. Now, if you ask a group of people to gather round, you ask them to come around you, like to make a circle around you or to come together around you, to come together in a group, that's all. So if you're a teacher and you want your class to get closer so that you can explain something, you might say gather round so that you can show them the experiment or whatever it is. If you screw something up, you mess it up, you fail at it, you spoil it, you don't do it well enough. And so if you screw up an exam, I think this can be quite rude, this one, actually. I wouldn't say it if you were in a formal situation. And certainly there are a lot of other swear words that could be used instead of screw. But that means make a mess of something, fail at something. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say to open up to someone is to confide in someone. That's a more formal version. To point out is to mention or attract everybody's attention towards a particular point, yeah, towards a particular thing that you'd like everybody to understand. A one-off is something that happens only once. So in this show, I think Gates made a one-off payment to can't remember who it was to actually, but he made a one-off payment to someone, and it just meant he only made that payment once. It wasn't a regularly repeated payment. But anything can be a one-off, and it just means something that happens only once, not twice, but once. Okay, to be at pains to do something means to go out of one's way to do something, to go the extra mile to do something, to go to great lengths to do something. So there are a lot of other phrases that mean something similar, and it just means to make it a lot of effort to get something done. So it means you're really determined. If you shut something down, you close it, so you can shut down a business usually. That's usually how it's used. If you clear something out, you empty it. So in this show, they cleared out the business, meaning they emptied the business of furniture and other things that were sitting there in the office. They cleared out the office, cleared everything out. So if you're moving home, you need to clear everything out of your old home and move it all to your new home. Now, this one's come up in loads of episodes. So again, if you don't know it, you're missing out on a good phrasal verb. So to be in on something means to be part of the plan, part of the plot, part of the secret plan very often. And so they are talking about who is in on the conspiracy in this TV show. There's a conspiracy, a lot of the policemen are corrupt, and there's a conspiracy going on right at the top of the police force. And some of the policemen, even some of the senior policemen, are in on the conspiracy. Lastly, to poke your nose into someone's business. It means to be nosy. We often say to be nosy, and it just means that you're putting your nose in other people's affairs, and it's very negative, of course. You shouldn't really poke your nose into someone else's business. We often say, mind your own business. Okay, that's plenty for today. Please go to my website and buy the exercises if you like this vocabulary and you want to practice it more. There are episodes actually for all 5 shows. There are exercises for all 5 shows. And I've actually finished season 2 as well, so that will be going up on my website very soon, and you can buy that as well if you want to. Okay, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.